Welcome, everyone. Today we're walking through an explainer of what is honestly one of the most incredible, epic cosmic rescues ever put to paper. We're pulling directly from a fascinating historical text that vividly maps out the final deliverance of God's people, breathtaking signs in the sky, and the ultimate restoration of Eden itself. The imagery we're about to unpack is just absolutely stunning. Okay, let's dive into this.
Imagine standing in a pitch-black forest. Our source material describes a moment of dense, terrifying blackness, something way deeper and heavier than the darkest midnight you can possibly imagine. Wicked forces are literally closing in. But then, suddenly, what happens when that darkest night turns into the brightest rescue? Well, a brilliant, glorious rainbow, absolutely shining with glory, instantly spans the heavens, completely shielding the praying people below. It's a total, jaw-dropping reversal.
And that dramatic shift brings us to part one, the Great Midnight Rescue.
According to the source, angry multitudes are actively conspiring to strike a decisive blow. So to help us really grasp the sheer scale of how God intervenes here, let's map out this epic adventure on our timeline so you know exactly how this incredible rescue story is going to unfold. We start right at midnight, the moment of utter darkness and sudden divine intervention. Then we move to the next moment, where unbelievable signs appear in the sky. Moments later, the king returns in glory, and finally, the journey takes us into eternity, to heaven and the restored Eden.
Right at that intense midnight hour, the text tells us God's voice literally shakes the heavens and the earth, declaring it is done. The sensory contrast here is just epic. The sun suddenly appears at midnight, shining in full strength. Rivers actually cease to flow, and a massive, unparalleled earthquake completely breaks apart the surface of the earth. Ragged rocks are scattered everywhere. Inhabited islands just disappear, and incredibly heavy prison walls are rent completely asunder, setting the captive people totally free.
Now, as the earth violently shakes below, our attention is drawn upward. This brings us to part two, the law in the sky. The source describes how the dark, angry clouds suddenly sweep back, revealing the starry heavens, which look, unspeakably glorious in contrast with the black firmament around them. And this brilliantly illustrates the next awe-inspiring visual. Right against that clear sky, a mighty hand appears holding two stone tablets folded together. When the hand opens them, the precepts of the Ten Commandments are revealed, traced as if with a pen of fire. The text notes that these fiery words are so overwhelmingly plain that everyone on earth can read them. It's this powerful moment where all the darkness of superstition is just swept away from every single mind.
As you might guess, the reaction to this blazing law is intense. The evil forces, including those who historically condemned Christ, vividly pictured in our source as priests and rulers recalling the events of Calvary, tremble in absolute fear. Now, notice here that there are no beastly horns or claws depicted. It's just the terrifying human regret of false teachers and leaders who realize they've been fighting against God. They're completely overwhelmed by consternation and a deep, shuddering terror.
With the wicked in a state of absolute panic, we reach part three, the king on the cloud.
As everyone watches the eastern sky in solemn silence, a small, mysterious sign begins to appear, building this intense anticipation across the entire globe. Let's walk through the exact steps of this arrival as described in the text. First, a small black cloud, about half the size of a man's hand, appears in the east. Second, as it draws closer to the earth, it transforms into a glorious, blazing white cloud with a base of consuming fire. And finally, Jesus rides forth. But not as a man of sorrows, he is a mighty, victorious conqueror. He wears a diadem of glory, his face outshines the dazzling noonday sun, and he's accompanied by tens of thousands of singing, masculine angels filling the sky with celestial melody.
The arrival of this blazing cloud perfectly contrasts two completely different reactions down on earth. On one hand, the wicked are overwhelmed by the terror of eternal despair, literally begging the mountains and rocks to fall and hide them from the face of the king. But the righteous, the faithful, wingless human people of God are filled with this solemn, awestruck joy. Even they tremble at the overwhelming glory, looking up and crying out, "Who shall be able to stand?"
In response to that trembling question, the vast angelic song hushes. There is a period of awful, heavy silence. And then, Jesus' voice breaks that silence with these beautiful words, "My grace is sufficient for you." Instantly, that one sentence brings total peace, lighting up the faces of the righteous with joy, as the angels strike a higher note and begin to sing once again. That joyous moment sets up part 4, waking up the saints.
This is the Grand Awakening, where all the faithful who died believing in God are called forth from the prison house of death. Amidst the reeling of the earth and the flashing lightning, the Son of God looks upon the graves and cries out with a voice that literally penetrates the earth, "Awake, awake, awake, ye that sleep in the dust, and arise." The source describes the whole earth literally ringing with the footsteps of an exceedingly great, immortal army of wingless humans from every nation and tongue, stepping out of the dust into glorious life.
And man, what an ascent it is! These resurrected saints rise with glorified bodies, possessing all the freshness and vigor of eternal youth. Perfect health is completely restored. Glorious, masculine angels actually gather the elect, carrying little children directly to their mother's arms. Friends long separated by death are reunited forever. Together, the living and the resurrected saints step into a massive, cloudy chariot with living wheels, shouting Alleluia as they ascend toward the New Jerusalem.
After the grand descent, we enter the pearly gates for part 5. The two Adams meet.
This right here is the ultimate cosmic family reunion. So, the crucial point is understanding exactly who is meeting here. On one side, we have Adam, the very first human God ever created, who originally fell into sin but is now fully restored. On the other side, we have Jesus, the divine Savior who redeemed mankind and successfully restored everything that was lost. This meeting represents the complete closing of the circle of human history.
As the Son of God stands with outstretched arms to receive the Father of our race, a deeply emotional moment unfolds. Adam approaches, but as he discerns the cruel prints of the nails on the Savior's hands, the marks borne for Adam's own sin, he doesn't just embrace him right away. Actually, in profound humiliation, Adam casts his glittering crown and falls at Jesus' feet in worship. And then, so tenderly, the Savior lifts him up into a loving embrace. Transported with joy, Adam touches his golden harp, and the vaults of heaven just echo with his triumphant song, "Worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb that was slain and lives again." Adam's entire redeemed family takes up this beautiful strain together, casting their own crowns at the Savior's feet, singing this incredible song of absolute deliverance.
And then, the Savior bids Adam to look around at his new home, Eden restored. Adam actually sees the very same trees he used to delight in before his fall. He recognizes the beautiful vines and flowers his own hands once trained, blooming more perfectly than ever. Jesus has completely wiped away the curse of sin, and the tree of life once again offers its glorious fruit to the redeemed, bringing everlasting joy.
It's an absolutely breathtaking picture of complete restoration and unending joy. Which leaves us with this final thought. If you were standing in that perfect, restored Eden right now, surrounded by that incredible, untainted beauty, what is the very first thing you would want to explore? Think about that. Thank you so much for joining me as we unpacked this incredible source material today. Stay curious, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.